Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports Gaming. Thanks for joining us. Now, talking Artur Beterbiev versus Joe Smith unification bout. Let's get straight into this one. The title is quite self-explanatory. How to Get Yourself Knocked Out Fast by Artur Beterbiev, starring Joe Smith Jr. Well, somebody asked me while I was playing FIFA last night, are you going to stay for the fight? And at midnight, my spider senses went off, and I went straight to bed. Oh, well, I wasn't wrong, was I? Beterbiev. Now I've got to put some real respect on that man's name. Artur Beterbiev put on a destructive display against Joe Smith Jr. Does what it says on the can: 17-0. 17 by KO, 18-0, 18 by KO. This guy punches like a mule. If you didn't already know that, he punches like a mule. Joe Smith Jr. in the pre-fight, remember I said to you, boxing fans, how Joe Smith goes through the door will determine if he can win this fight. We said Beterbiev was older. Now, we said that Joe Smith was younger, fresher. You know, Beterbiev may have been on the decline. Well, there was no way of finding out if he was in decline because of the performance and a few hours earlier. When I said the way you enter a door, it's like you proceed with caution. If you're in a war, I don't like using the term, or if you play these video games, right? And like if you play a game called Hitman, for example, you go through the door. When you go through the door, you got to proceed with caution. Joe Smith Jr. knew this guy was 17-0, 17 by KO. KO, right? You know this guy can punch. He's got a deep amateur pedigree. You know this guy can punch as well. He's no mug. You know that going in. Me personally, I think Joe Smith Jr. shit himself. That's what I think. I think he shit himself. I think he thinks to himself, you know what? I'm shit myself. I'm going to go out there and just try and land something and hope to God that he lands. There was no game plan. You know, you go in there and start trading shots early. I said, you do that shit against that guy. I said, you got to take that guy. You got to be careful how you go through the door with that guy. You double your jab. You got to be careful. Plenty of feints. Look, and the reason why you throw the feints is to see what Artur Beterbiev is throwing back. All right, you use the feints to see if he's going to throw left, throw right. If you go charging him, if you're flipping temple right up there, please hit me in my temple. You're the biggest puncher in this division, and arguably one of the biggest punchers in this current era. Let me just stick my head up in the air and leave myself open to get knocked out. I mean, I rate Joe Smith, but he was trying to have a barroom brawl in there. He must have thought it was like the OK Corral. He must have thought it was like one of them like back in the woods sort of like bars that is spitting and wood dust, sort of, you know, come on, mate, I'll take one, you take one. Now, I'll tell you what it is. You know why Joe Smith got knocked out the way he got knocked out? Two reasons why he got knocked out. Where'd that come from? Two reasons why he got knocked out. Reason number one he got knocked out is there was no game plan. Reason number two is he didn't have a trainer to give him that game plan. Why would you go headfirst in against a guy who can punch like that? Why would you do that? Who gave him that game plan? Why would you go trading so early with him? Me, not me personally, but the game plan being, look, the first 6 rounds is dangerous with this guy. Let's see the first 6 out. Let's just use lots of feints. Let's see what shots he's going to throw. And let's ease our way into this fight. Let's proceed with immense caution in this fight. But no, Joe Smith Jr. and his think tank thought, no. Sorry about that. My camera. I'm going to put my camera back on. Let's go my camera. Joe Smith Jr. and his camp thought, what's going on with my camera here? Joe Smith Jr.'s camp thought, no, what we're going to do, we're going to charge in. Put this back a bit. I don't know why my camera's doing nonsense today. Maybe it's getting nervous like Joe Smith Jr. What's going on with my camera today? Sorry for this. What's going on with my camera today? Oh, well. Camera's going to be dumb today. I'll just use that for now. Yeah, Joe Smith Jr. felt it was appropriate for him to go through the front door and not care about what Beterbiev was going to throw. Oh, I've got a good chin. I'm just going to come forward. Best chin is one that doesn't get hit. But for some unknown, bizarre reason, he decided to charge it. And I said the only reason why that happened was because he shit himself. He got scared, and he must have felt something very early in that fight and thought, shit, I'm just going to go out there and throw hell for leather. You know, when a guy gets hit with punches with the sort of power that he got hit with, I think experience kicks in. And if you've not experienced that sort of punching power, you panic. And I think that's what happened with Joe Smith Jr. He panicked, he resorted to type, and got knocked out. I'm afraid to say that, again, another fight where the game plan is not held up. More often than not, these fights are disappointing me because nobody's doing anything that they should be doing. And you're looking at these fights and thinking, right, if he does this, this, and this, we've got a great fight. But more often than not, the well-schooled fighters, now Artur Beterbiev or Beterbiev has been well-schooled for years. Joe Smith has been learning his trade and becoming a better fighter along the way. But Beterbiev is a very good fighter. And I always said, very good puncher. I said, you need to beat him, you have to back him up against the ropes. But there were some moves I saw today, or I saw where Artur was able to move to an angle, move away. When he knocked Joe Smith out, the way he shifted to the side along the ropes was something I didn't expect of him. But with the Russian style, they fought so many different styles before. You know, in the amateurs, a Joe Smith going straight forward in straight lines is not going to surprise them. You know, so I don't know if it's arrogance on his back part. I don't know if he was scared. I don't know if his training camp went wrong. I don't know what it is, but I'll tell you something right here and right now, that if you want to get knocked out fast by Artur Beterbiev, just follow what Joe Smith did. If you're an elite fighter, just follow what Artur Beterbiev is. And I still say, I'll keep on saying, Dimitri Bivol is the best light heavyweight in the world. I hope the unification bout happens. On a side note, let me see if I can get my camera back up, because I do want to get myself on camera saying this. Right. Thank you. My camera's working again. On a side note, Anthony Joshua, Tunde Ajayi, James Cook, and Frank Warren. If you really want Anthony Yard to have a long career in the light heavyweight division, avoid Artur Beterbiev at all costs. I know you'll fight anybody, but this ain't Sergey Kovalev. This is not Sergey Kovalev. And you saw there in Joe Smith Jr., a world champion with a good chin and fought higher, better opposition than you, Yard. And you've just seen him get blown out of there. And see, you who likes to use shoulder roll and still get hit, do you really want to be getting hit with that sort of power? Yeah, you've got power yourself, but do you really get hit with that sort of power? You need to have a watertight defense. And in the first 6 rounds, right, Yard's best chance is to try and knock Beterbiev out in the first 6. I just don't see that happening. I think Beterbiev is just far too experienced to get, and the way he dismantled Joe Smith Jr. in the manner in which he did it. Joe Smith Jr. didn't do himself any favors, but the way Artur Beterbiev did what he did, you got to give the man credit. I've not been his biggest fan, right? I'm not being his biggest fan. Yeah, he's a big puncher, but the Callum Johnson fight kind of took that shine off for me. But that performance right there, I wasn't too impressed with the Marcus Brown fight. But that performance right there, you got me as a believer now. Even at the ripe old age that you are now, you got me as a believer now. I wasn't a believer before. I'm a believer now. And you beat my boy bad. And the way you beat him, there's no sort of like, oh, maybe the referee could have let the fight go on. No. You beat this guy bad. And for that, you know, what this kind of reminds me of is when Lennox Lewis fought Gary Mason. Yeah, when Lennox Lewis fought Gary Mason. And I was a big Gary Mason fan. And Lennox beat the crap out of Gary Mason. And I became a Lennox Lewis fan because of that. Well, I've become an Artur Beterbiev fan. Or Beterbiev fan because of what he did to Joe Smith. But Bivol is my number one. Let me get that straight. He's still the number one light heavyweight in the world. I will keep on saying it. But he's got a fight in his hands against Artur for sure. He's got a fight in his hands. But Anthony Yard, you want to swerve that fight like a plague. You got a choice. If you go for Bivol, you're going to get outboxed and punched up. Volume of punches. If you fight Artur Beterbiev, you can get savagely knocked out inside 6 rounds. So make your choice. Pick your poison. Because as far as I'm concerned, them 2 guys will cause you serious pain. You're probably better off fighting Bivol, because he might not punch as hard. Well, he doesn't punch as hard as Beterbiev. If I'm advising your career, you go and fight Bivol. You do not go and fight Beterbiev. You just don't. He's got the good boxing. They've both got very good boxing foundation, first of all, and they both are, fundamentally sound. But what you've got is that one guy who can take your lights out like that, and he ain't gonna joke. So I probably would say he's like, I wouldn't say the younger version of Kovalev, but he's punching more ruthless than Kovalev. So no, I wouldn't advise you to take any of them guys. I would take this time now. If I'm you, Anthony Yard, I take this time now to continue to learn your trade. Beterbiev is not going to be around much longer. He won't. Learn your trade. And hope to God that somehow the other titles get scattered and then you can take a fight shot for the world title, because you really haven't. If you take a good fight this year and take 2 more good fights next year, I think the light heavyweight division opens up then. It's about timing. Frank knows this. That is what Frank wants for his career. But I'm not a fan of Yard fighting now. Go fight Buatsi. Go fight Callum Johnson. Go and fight Callum Smith. To fight those fights. Fight one of those fights. I think Callum Smith is a good fight for you. Callum Johnson's a good fight. Callum Johnson, a very good fight, because Callum Johnson can punch with both hands. And he poses a similar threat to Beterbiev, only because Smith punches with both hands, and it would be a war. Joe Smith Jr., a good fight for you to have. Marcus Brown, good fight for you to have. But if Frank doesn't really believe in you in that kind of way, then yeah, I can see why he's rushing you for a world title fight. Let's hear what Shook says. Shook says, very enjoyable fight last night. Smith's plan looked to be boxing smart and then turn up the heat later. But once the firefight happened, he reverted to his instincts, a fighter. I didn't expect Joe to start trading punches as soon as he was knocked down. That's because the reason why is 2 things. First, he didn't expect to get knocked down, so he panicked. He didn't think that Artur Beterbiev hit as hard as he does. So when he got dropped, he's like shock, panic. Well, this hasn't happened to me in my career. I've got a good chin. I'm Joe Smith Jr. Well, that all gets shattered straight away. So then it's like, flip it. Well, I've just been dropped, so I'm just going to go for it. Fight or flight. So Smith just went for it. And that is how you get knocked out quick by Artur Beterbiev. So there you go. That's my thoughts on that. I won't say much more. Good luck to Joe Yard if he wants to take that fight next. I think Beterbiev could have that fight in what are we now? June, July. He could take that fight in September, August, September, and fight Yard. I mean, he doesn't need much to prepare for Yard now, does he? Let's be honest. He could take that fight in August, September, make some good money, even travel to England and make it happen. The fact that he's Russian, I don't know how the dynamics of that works, but anyway. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Was I right about Joe Smith Jr. and the tactics? Is it because Joe Smith Jr. has not got a good trainer? Is it because Joe Smith Jr. is not that good? Did Joe Smith Jr. panic when he got hit with a good shot? Was he shook by the power? Clearly he was. Was it instinct that just kicked in? And would you pick Yard to go and fight Artur Beterbiev? If not fight Artur Beterbiev, then who would you pick up Yard to fight? And then who would you ask Beterbiev to fight next? Me personally, I want to see Bivol and Beterbiev fight. Anthony Yard would be in some serious trouble taking this fight. He has not remedied the previous mistakes with Kovalev. Nope. Another Russian. So he's got a Russian problem, a serious Russian problem, Anthony Yard. Great points there. Hasn't improved, hasn't moved on from that situation. Right, let me get out of here. Short video. Thank you again for watching. Much appreciated. Please do rate, subscribe, leave your comments, and consider becoming a member as well. Hit the join button. Thanks so much. Check out our new channel, by the way.